Our guest today is an actress taking the world by storm. From RADA to winning Best Supporting Actress at the BAFTAs and onward to Hollywood. She's been a part of the Harry Potter, DC and Marvel universes. Her credits include the J.J. Abrams produced Lovecraft Country, Batman vs Superman and the BAFTA nominated Netflix film His House. Most recently she can be seen on Disney Plus in Loki alongside Tom Hiddleston, a miniseries from director Ronaldo Marcus Green, We Own This City. Our guest today is WUNMI MOSAKU. Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we actually share representation. So Scott Marshall Partners, the wonderful people at Scott Marshall, and that was one of the things. Like I've seen you in a lot of stuff, and I've been watching your career, but it was only when I signed with Scott Marshall I was like, oh, WUNMI's with Scott Marshall, and that really pushed me to try and get in touch and like have you on here and to have a chat. And so thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's all good. And also another one is Kat Harris as well, your UK PR, who's all, she's absolutely wonderful. And she's another person that was like, you must have WUNMI on, she's great. So yeah, brilliant. I'd just like to talk about, obviously you've got your new show that's out now, We Own This City. It's kind of 3 episodes in, I believe. I've managed to see 2 episodes so far and I'm gripped and I'm really enjoying it. How did that come about? What was that a usual kind of audition process? How did that job materialize?
Yeah, it was pretty usual. Like I got the script from my agents, my US agents, and I read them and had a meeting with I didn't read all of them. I randomly got sent like I think like episode 1 and 5 or something. So I didn't know a lot of the stuff that happened in between, but yeah, and then I met with the creative, so David, George, Nina, and our director Ray, Ronaldo, and the casting director, and then just kind of spoke with them about the character, about what happened, because it's obviously based on true life events, and who she is, because she's the only, I want to say the only person, but she's the only person out of the main cast that isn't a real person. And so, talking about her as a device, as like, basically a member of the audience, like everyone who's watching should hopefully feel the same things that she feels. Like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? How can we stop this from happening? So yeah, that we just spoke about all of that, and yeah, and then they offered me the part. Yeah,
amazing. I'm really enjoying it. As you say, it is one of those things where you are asking the questions that the audience want answered. This show, I actually became aware of it. I'm a bit of an IMDb nerd. I love to look up stuff and see what's coming out and everything else. And I went to see King Richard at London Film Festival. Absolutely loved it. Was blown away by it. And obviously, the director has directed this. And that was the first time I kind of heard about it. I was, oh, it sounds interesting. And I saw you were in it. I was like, oh, it looks really cool. And it's one of those things that, I mean, I wasn't necessarily aware of the director before King Richard, and now I'm looking up everything he's done and trying to find like all these projects. What was it like working with him?
Great. I mean, Ronaldo is such an easy spirit to work with. He's just so I don't feel any stress from him. I don't feel any of the kind of, when sometimes you can be on set and you can feel like the executives and the pressure and the money and the line producer and the time pressures. And, a really good director doesn't let those feelings kind of bleed into his communication and relationship with you. And I never felt any of that. I mean, I honestly didn't feel that on any at all on this project at all. But he was just really gentle in his approach, always asking us to like, really just listen, don't push things too far, just listen and respond and but you don't have to play anything up, you don't have to you don't have to do anything. You just have to be,
Mm.
I really like that. Yeah. And like him, and they had like our camera crew, everything was really set up, so there was like no like blocking, there was no real like, it was it you kind of knew that you would out, in the rehearsal you'd be like, I'm probably going to move over here, around here, and maybe I'll do this, but it wasn't like you have to hit this. There were no marks.
Mm.
There were no marks, and there was no rigidness, or you have to hit this at this point. None of that, which I really enjoyed. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, the show feels very real. I mean, the one scene that comes to mind particularly is there's a bit where you pull up and you're taking a video or photos of a scuffle that's going on, and I was watching it. I was kind of imagining myself if I was an actor in that scenario doing that scene. I was thinking it just looks real. The area looks scary. Everything about it looks genuine. Whereabouts was it shot?
Oh, we shot everything in Baltimore. I
Oh, you
don't know
did.
exactly. Yeah, everything. I don't think yeah, everything. Yeah, because Baltimore is it's such a beautiful city, and the
Mm.
architecture is so specific, and the people are so. Someone describes the people of Baltimore tough and kind, and so someone in our cast described that, and I feel like that is the spirit of the city. It's kind of got this toughness, but it's so quaint. It's so beautiful. You can't really. I don't know. I haven't been around the whole of America, but you can't. I don't feel like you could really shoot anywhere else but Baltimore for Baltimore, and it's such an integral character
Mm.
of the show. And yeah, so everything was shot in Baltimore. Everything. Yeah. I don't think they did anything outside of Baltimore.
I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to watch the rest. I wanted to watch I thought I was thinking it was out and I could watch the whole thing before we had a chat, but I've still got to wait and
I
watch the
know.
rest.
They do it old school on HBO
Yeah, I can't
every
believe
week.
they sent you the 5th episode when you were auditioning. You must have been like, well, spoiler alert. So obviously that's what you're doing. Well, that's what you've got out now. I mean, I'd just like to point out to the audience, like if people aren't familiar with what you've done, just to say that, you're not only part of the Marvel universe with Loki, you're not only part of the Harry Potter universe with Fantastic Beasts, but you're also part of the DC universe with Batman versus Superman. Now
That's funny.
that's pretty cool.
That's
That's a
funny.
pretty good. I mean, you've got all the fan bases right there.
Funny. I don't really think of myself as part of the Harry Potter universe because all my scenes got cut. So I think it's like you can see me, but I don't actually speak in the actual film, so I don't think of myself as part of
But you were there, and it's still what an amazing credit to have, and it just sounds great. But for our audience, how did this? I mean, like a lot of young actors listen to this, and they're starting out, and they're kind of trying to figure out their way and like how to get that first job and how to succeed. That's where you are now. How did this all start? Where did the love of it come from? And like even before drama school, where did that kind of interest come from?
that. I've always performed. Really, like I was part of the Manchester Girls Choir from age 7, and loved doing our concerts and rehearsals. I mean, every Thursday night from age 7 to 18, I was with those girls. I used to go to like all the dance classes. I was terrible. Like all like, orchestra. I always used to do I could never sit still as a kid. You could never sit me in front of like a TV show. You couldn't even sit me in front of Sesame Street like as a baby. Like I was always moving. And then I joined after like a weekend acting class that some of my girlfriends from the girls choir went to, act 2 on at St. Werburgh's Church in Charlton, and we did a couple of productions. Just every Saturday my mom used to send me there sent my sisters other places so that she could have the house to herself for a day. And I did a play called Junk, which was really not age appropriate, about two kids who run away from home and become junkies. It's just such a weird. I think we were 13 when we did that.
It's pretty hard hitting.
Yeah, it was really not appropriate. But we did that, and the writer of the book, I want to say Melvin, I want to say Melvin Burgess. I don't even know if that's right. Let me try and Google it.
I'll edit around it, and you just say the name, and it'll be seamless. Wow, that's a pretty.
Yeah, Melvin Burgess. My God, I can't believe
there you go.
that. Yeah, came to see the play.
Oh wow.
Yeah, at this little church in Manchester, Charlton, and he said like, you did really good at playing Vonnie. Like, I mean, you're only 13, but you did really, really good. And I think that was like the first time I thought, I never got a lead part in any of the school plays ever. Never got like, I mean, I think I got my first solo in choir when I was 17 on my last tour in South Africa. We did a tour in South Africa, and it was literally the last concert that I was ever going to do with the choir. And I got my solo, but I never got any of like the big parts. I was never the one that they said like, oh yeah, no, just give it to me. And yeah, I think when he said that, I felt really like, you know what, I just really enjoy playing with like make-believe. Like I really just enjoy thinking up a scenario and really trying to feel the emotions. And I think that's that's the biggest thing between like an actor and someone who wants to just act. Does that make sense? Because they want to just act because they like films, or they want to act because they want to be famous or whatever. For me, like an actor really enjoys like exploring all the possible emotions and like just really exploring all the different thought patterns, and like, you know, so I feel like that's I notice it with my niece and nephew. I'm like, she really enjoys exploring it, and he loves performing it. And I feel like that's the difference between wanting to act and being an actor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never actually thought of it like that. That's interesting. I feel like I'm the same as you. Like I feel like it's almost like a sort of therapy, depending on the part.
Yeah,
because if you get
absolutely.
to go to places that you're kind of not allowing yourself to get to in real life, it is kind of like
therapy.
a release.
It is absolutely
Free therapy.
Free therapy, absolutely.
In fact, you're getting paid for it, so it's even better.
right. But then you need to pay for the therapist afterwards to get you out of all of those things, you know. But I definitely feel like that's that was that exploration of that character in this random world of drugs that I had no idea about, that none of us had any idea about. Like I don't know, it just was like, you know, I did enjoy that. And so I guess I took it a little bit more seriously. However, when I went to college, I did maths, economics, further maths and chemistry.
Oh wow.
And then dropped chemistry.
There's always something to fall back on, not that you'll need it, but that's great.
Yeah. And then I just dropped chemistry and picked up drama in the end. And I really loved the drama teachers at Severian, Win Moran and Rob Faulkner. And they just really encouraged me. I really struggled with like the writing part of GCSEs because I'm dyslexic, and you know, and the writing part of the A levels. And I was like, oh, just leave it. I'll just do the performance bit or whatever. And Win and Rob were like, please don't do this. Don't throw away your A level by not doing the writing part. So yeah, and then and they really encouraged me to go to drama school, and that was that. Yeah.
When it comes to dyslexia, I'm dyslexic as well. How do you struggle with learning lines? Is that have you got a technique that I can steal from you that might help me? Is it a struggle?
No, I've never struggled learning lines. Remembering has always been my hack for not being able to like skim read. I can't skim read. I can't read fast. So when I read, I just take it. I just remember. But I do have a little hack that I've learned at drama school. It's specific to me, but I don't know if it might help you or anyone else. But you know those filters, those like color filters that you get,
Yes,
like you can put on top of your paper to help like de-stress your eyes from the white and black paper. So I had a blue one that that was the one that was best for me. And then I realized that when I started printing my scripts on blue paper, I memorized like that. Like I could read it and I would know it. Like
wow.
I would just know it. So I don't know if that's a hack for everyone, but it was when that happened, I think I learned a Shakespeare speech reading it 4 or 5 times and I pretty much knew it almost word for word. Like,
I'm gonna have to try this.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this blue paper really works. Yeah.
And is that something you still do to this day then? You still use that?
I used to ask for scripts on blue paper when I was first kind of starting out, like, and then I just felt like you sound like a bit of a diva. And then like, no one ever really sends scripts anymore, like actually hard copies. I'm always reading on my computer, which I hate. And like, or like on my phone, I just hate it. Like it just stresses my eyes. But I don't like to waste paper. I definitely don't like to waste paper on auditions. Like, chances are I'm not going to get the job. I don't want to waste, like,
cutting down trees every time.
Yeah,
like,
do you know what I mean? Like, I'll print out like my sides, like the 15 pages they want us to learn. But I wouldn't print out a script for an audition that I'd have no idea if I'm going to get. Like, never.
No, I'm the same 100%. I'm gonna be demanding blue paper from now on because I feel like that might work. That's a really good little tip, because I kind of remember that back at school when they found out I was dyslexic. They were like, oh, this might help, and they were trying different colored papers, and I can't actually remember which was my color, but I'll have to look back into that and see if it helps.
Yeah, definitely have a look, because I mean, I can read so much faster with the blue filter. I just get one of those, those plastic wallets.
Yeah.
I just put it over my. I don't even need to get it printed even.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That is a great idea. So I mean, obviously these are the early days. Was there someone that kind of, any of your family or anyone that kind of close to you that was like someone that kind of was into this sort of thing that kind of gave you a kind of guide to this, or was it kind of, it was doing these classes and finding it for yourself?
Well, my big sister, the one immediately above me, she's always been a film buff. So like she would make me watch all the classics, and I don't know, Catherine Hepburn or Betty Davis. She just loved anything like old school and classic. And so I loved Annie. I used to watch Annie the musical. I used to watch it every day after school. And when I decided I wanted to be an actor, I was like, I don't really know how to. Just know I don't want to go to university and do maths and economics anymore. I got really bad anxiety and like insomnia. And so my sister was like, okay, let's go through the cast of Annie. So we just Googled everyone in Annie. And then obviously Sir Albert Finney from Manchester, well, from Salford, went to RADA. And that's how we heard about RADA. And then and then my mom was like, okay, you've got one shot, because it was 30 quid to audition. And, we didn't have a lot of money. And it was like, you've got one shot. And if you don't get in, I'll allow you to do a year out, but you have to go and do maths and economics. But if you do get in, okay, well, then I guess you're going to be an actor. But none of us knew what that really truly meant. And thankfully I got in, because loads of people don't get in the first time. And so if I had just gone like, okay, that was it, that was my one shot, I didn't get in, I wouldn't be here. But also it's expensive to audition for drama school, so it's not easy. Yeah. And I know
it's one of those things people don't tell you that until you're kind of applying for it. You're like, hang on, what? It's
Yeah, and then like you've got to go down to London for the like third round and the fourth round, and my gosh, like so expensive. Yeah, there's a charity that's been set up by someone called Open Door, right? And they help people get those those audition fees, you know, started, thankfully, because yeah, it's really not. I think they're like 70 quid now to audition.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, and then like, you know, if you start out, you've got to, there's all these other little things you've got to pay
Yeah.
for, and spotlight and things, like all things you need, but it's kind of like, if you're starting out and you don't know, you're like, I need to get some headshots and all these things, you're like, it's like
Oh
so
yeah,
much
no.
money, and before you've even
Yeah.
made any money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
scary.
It's an investment.
The start of your career, I mean, everyone has a rite of passage, and I feel like a lot of people have the same rite of passage in England, and it's the bill or doctors, or and you've done both those things. Now, was that, I mean, what was that like being part? I mean, something like the bill is kind of iconic, and doctors again is something that everyone's just very
Did I
familiar with.
did I do doctors?
Am I telling you you've done something you haven't done? I'm pretty sure
No,
you
I
did.
can't remember. Oh, I'm thinking of Holby. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Did I do doctors?
Did you? Or maybe I've got it wrong.
God, I can't remember now.
I'm pretty sure,
That's so
unless
funny. Definitely did the bill. I definitely remember that. Being
I'm
in
gonna check.
Birmingham. So maybe I did. I just can't remember what I did. That's so weird.
Let me double check. It may be completely. I was trying to get you to say you've done something you hadn't done.
Yeah, I
Let
just
me double
can't.
check.
Oh, I did.
You
I
did?
definitely did. I did. Well, let me just
Yes.
try. I did. I can't remember.
So you had a good
I'm just
time on it
getting a.
then?
I'm getting little flashbacks. That's so weird. I remember being in Birmingham, and I'm just now remembering like the set. Like that's so. I can't remember what I did. I can't remember who I played. That's wild. I remember how your memory does that. I remember like my one line on Never Bet. I remember my two lines on the other thing with Steve Mangan. What was that? No, that was Never Better. Sold. I remember like, but I can't remember what I did on Doctors. That's
That's so
crazy.
funny. I'm gonna have to find the footage now somewhere and send it to you. Like, remember doing this?
God.
That is a
Wow.
thing though. Like, I mean, there's been a couple of actors that have done the same thing. Like, if you're chatting and they're like, "Have I done that?" And they're saying like they would bet money on the fact that they haven't ever worked with those people or done that shit. And then it's like years and years ago, and they're like, "Oh my god, I did."
I
But if
know,
you've
that's so
done
weird.
as many things as you have, it's hard to remember when or where or how these jobs came about. So I totally understand.
Yeah, but it's funny because like I remember getting the bill and it being like huge. I remember where I was living. I remember my commute to work. Like I remember that so clearly. And I remember being in a hotel I can remember being in the canteen at the bill. I remember
Yeah.
talking to Patrick Robinson. I remember looking at all the actors' faces down the wall. I really, really, truly remember that. I can't for the life of me remember what I did on Doctors. That is wild.
The bill is
Wow.
one of those ones because it's near Wimbledon, isn't it? The studio they used to have, and apparently I hear that they're actually going to they're bringing it back. This is what I've heard, this rumor. So
Ooh.
I don't know, but yeah, it's funny because it was the only thing they ever shot there, and when you get there, it is like all the pictures of the cast that you're
Yeah.
kind of familiar with from your childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is all a bit weird because I did a little episode in it as well. It's like it is the rite of passage for a British actor, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Just like you're growing up here, you're going to be in it at some point if you want to be an actor.
Yeah.
But moving speedily on, you've gone strength from the bill to right up to, you know, working with Marvel. Was there a moment, like a particular part or job where you kind of felt like, oh, actually, this is what I belong here. This is what I should be doing. Like a kind of almost like a, yes, this is right. I'm in the right place now.
That's interesting. I don't know if I ever really feel like that, to be honest. I still get like so nervous. Like on my last day on We Own the City, I was the guy I play opposite Ian. He plays Ahmed, and you know, day one I'd be like, "Look, Ian," and I'd show my shaking hand. The last day I'd be like, "Look, Ian," and he'd be like, "Still shaking." I said, "Still shaking," you know. And I don't know if I ever felt like, I don't know if I've ever really felt like, oh, I belong here. I guess, I guess, this sounds a little pretentious, but going to the BAFTAs this year and seeing so many of my age mates, I say my age mates, like young people, like between 20 something and 40 something, that I know, that I've grown up with, that we all did our little bit parts together. I was like, oh, there were so many of us this year. I was like, oh, this is our industry too. Like, it was not just being like I mean, don't get me wrong, you do still have to be invited in, but the fact that we are, like, I felt like, oh, like, I know so many people here, and it's not just like the old fogies or, like, or just like, it didn't just feel, it felt like, I felt like everyone's doing so well. And like, especially seeing like people like Samson Kayo and, Daniel Kaluuya, Michaela Cole, like Susie Wakoma. I'm like, like so many people that I just have grown up with. And I just see us all there every year now. I just see that they're all there, like, and that, I hadn't been back to the UK in a while because of the pandemic, and I was just like, oh, like, there's a lot of my friends here. Like, I don't feel like, I feel like I could go and I would know someone. Like, whereas, I don't know, 6 years ago, I'd feel like I would go and I would not know anyone, So yeah, that's really interesting. Like Naomi Aki, I've sat in front of Naomi Aki and Sophia Kaneda. I was like, oh, these are people I know, like people I respect, people like I just like, oh, we're here. Yeah.
You joined the party, and now people like Daniel Kaluuya, like someone like that, who I've been aware of him for years, like way back, and it's so good to see people like that who have grinded and done it. Like, he's been doing, I don't know how long he's been doing it. I've been
Since he
aware
was
of
a
him
kid.
for about 15 years. Yeah, so I mean, he's like
all those
grinded and
skins
grinded.
They're cute. They're all grown ups and like really they are the industry. They're not just like babies anymore. They are the industry. They're the Oscar winners. They're, you know what I mean? Like, kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's mad. And now you look at them and you go, well, of course. And it seems obvious now, but like, I'm sure for them it wasn't for many years.
No,
grinding and working hard to get there. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing when you start seeing your friends and people you've worked with and people you've seen along the way kind of get up to that level, and you just think, oh, it is possible. Like it can be done. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. I mean, we're jumping ahead here, but I'd love to talk about Loki. And you say like there maybe wasn't a moment where you went, I feel like it. I mean, that job is, congratulations. that must have been an amazing thing, to that phone call to get that. What was that experience like? And getting that job, like, what was that like?
I was pretty intimidated, I must say. I didn't know I was auditioning for Loki when I auditioned. I was just auditioning for Seraphin, and it was NDA and fake sides and all that stuff. So when I got the call in the middle of the night, I was like, oh, I didn't audition for Loki. And they're like, oh, you did? And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, wow. Okay. Woke up the next day and really thought it was a dream, like, because it was in the middle of the night. Like, I really did think it was a dream. And then I was like, wow, no, I think that really did happen. The funny thing about Loki is that I knew Tom and I knew Gugu. So walking in, I was nervous, but as soon as I walked in, I had my friends there.
Yeah.
And it was just
That's
like,
nice.
And Kate, she knew, Kate, the director, she knew we had mutual friends. She was like, oh, Fisher said hi. And I was like, oh, like, I feel like I'm working with friends now, and it doesn't feel like this big thing like looming over me anymore. It's just like, oh, these are your mates. These are people that you know, like
Mm-mm.
yeah. So I must say I was a bit nervous at the read through. I definitely was nervous because you hear those terrible like stories of actors being recast after the read through, and you know, I was a bit nervous at after about that. But you know, everyone was so normal. Kevin Feige, so normal. Like, hey, how you doing? Like, okay, okay. So yeah, so definitely, I feel like it was scarier than it was. It wasn't as scary as it was, but then oh god, that doesn't make sense. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be, and but then I was scared about like, you know, I see the kind of like attention Tom gets and stuff, and I was like, oh, but then there is the MCU, so that kind of scares me. But then we're in a pandemic, so then I was like, I was at home anyway, so like it wasn't so scary. I was a bit scared about like how everyone goes crazy for Tom. I was like, you know, obviously Tom's their focus, but I was like, I'm not ready for MCU fans.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't get any kind of bigger than that. And yeah, I can imagine I can only try to imagine what it must be like doing a read through with a room full of people like that. It must just be, you must black out and then wake up after it's happened. It must be.
Yeah, basically.
I think read throughs
Yeah.
should just be banned. I mean, I know they're good and they need to be done, but it's like it's the worst. It's always like a sigh of relief from everyone involved after it's happened.
I don't know about you, but with my dyslexia, reading on white paper in a room with white lights, all I want to do is sleep. Like all I want to do is sleep. My eyes just want to shut. They get stressed and they just want to stop doing whatever we're doing.
Oh, I
So
get
I
that
find
totally, yeah.
myself like, you know, shielding my eyes, not looking at the script. What I do is go through the script, see where my scenes are, and fold the pages down, and then like literally have my hand over my eyes like this, so they don't get tired. Look at everyone as they're reading, and not look at the script, and just change the pages when everyone turns the page. That's what I do until it's my turn.
That's a good little technique, yeah.
Because I'll just fall asleep. Imagine falling asleep. I read through, like, oh no, she's
I'd be like,
definitely
wow,
gone.
she's relaxed. She's not
Like,
stressed at
no,
all.
she is definitely gone.
You should have asked for your blue paper, then you would have been
Should
fine.
have. I really should have actually, because that was really stressful. I was like, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh.
Well, it's literally the worst nightmare, isn't it? You know, getting a dyslexic and going, well, sit in a room full of people, really important people that are going to give you this amazing life-changing job, and now read.
And now read. Your biggest
It's almost
fear.
like being back at school. Yeah, go and stand at the front of the class and read. It's like the worst nightmare. Like,
it's so true.
Horrendous. But yeah, I mean, you got through it, and it sounds bad to say this, but I'm pleased to hear that you still get nervous, because I think for any actor, I don't know, I get it, especially, and I get it more the smaller the part, actually, because the more days that you're on set, I think hopefully you ease into it and you become more relaxed. But I feel like it's nice to hear that, because I stress, and it's like the first week is always quite like, you almost like need to just chill and get into, and once you know people, as you say, like if there are people you know on set and stuff, you kind of, you know, you can get into it a bit quicker. But yeah, on the first couple of days of things, I'm always like, why am I doing this?
Why am I
putting
here?
through this?
I literally think that every single first day I'd be like, why did I put myself through this again? And then, you know, things ease up and stuff, but it's still like, it's a lot of pressure, and it's scary, and it never eases up. And then you remember that, you know, then you start to enjoy the job, and then you're like, great, this is fun. Still get a little bit nervous, and then you remember that someone else is going to watch it, judge it, review it, and like people are going to have an opinion about it, and you're like, oh man, why did I do this? Yeah,
all those other things going through your head where you're like, I should be in character, I should be in character. So, I mean, completely changing gear now, but is there, I mean, if you if you could give your younger self advice, what would that advice be?
I
Daunting.
feel like you wouldn't, if you say any, I always feel like if you say anything to your younger self, you're going to change the path and you wouldn't be here. So like if I say to her it's going to be really tough, she might be like, okay, I'll leave it. I'll just go to do maths and economics. Or if I say, you know, I don't know, if I say like believe in yourself, I might have a warped ego, which makes me mess everything up. I'm always very cautious of giving my younger self advice. If I was going to give advice to someone younger than me, I would say, nurture your relationships,
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
personal and professional. Like, I'm not into like networking, but getting to know a person, getting to know what they like, and if they have a family, what, you know, that stuff. I want to be around people who want to nurture relationships rather than just climb to get, you know, climb. Like, people want to work with people they want to work with. And they want to work with people who are interested and interesting. And like, do you have in your, you know, nurture your friendships and your family relationships. Like, those things are so important. Being a part of society and not just being an actor all the time and all thinking about an actor or thinking about acting and what, you know, all that stuff. Like, it's not what we're doing when we're acting is playing real people with real emotions and real relationships. So like, nurturing your real true life relationships is paramount to nurturing relationships with humanity, with your environment, with, you know, different cultures, and, you know, like, those are the things that will actually impact your artistry in the end. And because you'll be more human, you'll be more open, you'll be more loving, you'll be, you know, because you have to, I always say, you have to love your character, good or bad, all of it. You have to love them as difficult as they can be, as evil in inverted commas as they can be. You have to find a way to love them without judgment. So I find that, you know, those human connections makes it easier to kind of see the whole person, not just the villain and not just the hero, see the whole person.
And I think that's a perfect way to end. I think that's a lovely message. And I really think that, you know, any young actor listening to this now is just, you're very inspirational, and I really appreciate you coming on here, because seeing your career and you going strength to strength is genuinely inspiring. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed this.
No, it's just lovely to have a chat, isn't it? And
Yeah.
kind of this is something I started because of COVID, and I just wanted to talk to other actors, other people like directors, producers, writers, and just have a chat and kind of not feel like I was stuck in a flat and not being able to get out and see people. So and it's really nice that it's flourished like this. I'm getting to talk to people that I've never met before, so it's a real pleasure. And
thank you.
I'll send you over basically all of this, and then I'll edit it together. And if there's anything you need or want to take out of it, I can edit around, so it's all good. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank
Brilliant.
you. Hopefully see you in the UK.
Yeah, at some point that would be great. Yeah. And let's just kind of quickly just say, just to give them a shout out, Scott Marshall and also Kat Harris at Flash Forward.
They've been amazing. I've been with Scott Marshall since I was 20, and I've been with Kat since I was 23, I think 23, 24. So I've just grown up with them. So like, I feel like so looked after and so loved. And yeah,
Adriana was saying that, literally straight out of drama school they snapped you up, and they've obviously made the right decision. So it's celebrations all around for everyone.
I actually tricked them into signing me a bit early, because I really wanted to be signed before my showcase, and I was like, that's who I want, and I don't want to go to the showcase without an agent. So I told them that I had been offered, and I was seriously considering taking it, but I hadn't been offered.
That's very good. See,
I
hear
was
that?
like,
Anyone listening to this, they need to take note of that.
I did. Oh, another good tip. Can I just say a good tip for the
Yeah,
showcase?
go on, please do.
Good tip for the showcase is to stand, if you don't have representation,
Yeah.
stand next to the food. Stand next to the most delicious looking dish, and everyone's gonna come over and have and pick up something. Go stand next to the food and go and say hello.
That is genius. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's what I'd say.
Wise words to part on, I think. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much, and take care of yourself.
Okay, see you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you to our guest WUNMI. We Own This City is on HBO now, and season 2 of Loki will start filming this summer. Support us on Patreon for early access to episodes, and follow us on TikTok. If you enjoy this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have time, write a review. It will make a huge difference. Thank you.
And you better come back next month to a life and film. To a life and film. To a life and film. To a life and film.